again, back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Hope you all have been doing well since the last time we were here. Today, we are going to be doing some of the... Oopsies, what did I just click on? We're going to be doing the standard Shakeup event, the Planecation Dominaria. So this event, it's another one of their series. They've been doing one per weekend here. And the deck building restrictions this time is that they've basically banned out some of the most prevalent cards of some of the most powerful decks in the format. So they're just trying to make it so that the the landscape looks really different, so you're not fighting against what, red deck wins and vampires and scape shift every time. So you'll see some of this hasn't aged so well since they announced this list originally. We've got like Arclight Phoenix, which, I'll be honest with you, I love the Phoenix deck, but I think I've maybe seen it played once since M20 came out. But, stuff like Nissa Who Shakes the World, Field of the Dead, both of the Teferis, that'll be a nice shift. Thought Erasure, Risen Reef, all these cards that really have been defining standard, and we're just going to play without them today. I'm just going to check my levels again here. Oh, looks like we don't have any sound coming in from Magic. Oh, no, okay, there we go. It was just being quiet. So, out of the decks that I have pre-built, there's very little that I can play in this. We've got some Singleton decks, some Pauper decks. I was thinking I might tune one of my current decks for the event. But for now, the Rakdos Aristocrats list is pretty much completely untouched. Actually, I don't think any of the lists have basically any cards banned out of them. So we might give that one a try. Before we do this, though, I did want to make a couple of small changes here. Now that I have for Knight of the Ebon Legions, I was thinking we might add the last two in place of something. I think I'm actually going to swap up my 1-drops a little bit. So, Knight of the Ebon Legion doesn't really synergize with this deck at all, whereas Fanatical Firebrand synergizes with Mayhem Devil, and Footlight Fiend synergizes with everything that sacrifices, which is like half of the deck. But I want to try for Knight of the Ebon Legion here, just because this deck, when it doesn't have all of its pieces come together in the right way, it often ends up in a place where its top deck quality is just so low that it can never work its way back into a game. Whereas Knight of the Ebon Legion is another thing we can play on one. We can sacrifice it if we need to. Like, sacrificing a Knight of the Ebon Legion is just the same as sacrificing a Fanatical Firebrand or a Mask of Immolation token, anything else like that. So it's another thing we can play out turn one, but if we get it later in the game, it can actually just win the game on its own. And that's something that I think is really good for this deck, because we just have so many creatures that are like, these are bad creatures. Like, this is a 1/1 for 2. This is oh man, that old I'm gonna forget the name now, but the original 1/1, the Goblin. Basically, it's what Fanatical Firebrand's templated on. The Mog Fanatic. There we go, Mog Fanatic. So anyway, let's just try making that little change. We will submit the deck like that. And we're going to be looking for 6 wins. If it takes us a while, we won't do them all tonight. We might do something else. We might switch decks partway through and do a little bit of tinkering around. But for now, let's just bring this one up and see how it goes. I have not watched any coverage of this event. It's been live since this morning, so about 12 hours, I think. But yeah, so I have no idea what people are playing, if people are building new decks for this format, if they're just changing their old decks, if they're doing... Well, we wanted Knight of the Ebon Legion, but, let's just keep it. We can play a couple of Knights, we can, we're really threatening that way. Hopefully we'll draw red in the next turn or two and be able to play the rest of our hand out. Or just, play more, draw more black cards, I guess. That would also work. Notably because we are in black-red, and there are no ally-colored Scrylands in Standard right now. Okay, well that was an easy win. We can't play any temples in this deck that are on both of our colors, so we only have the 8 dual lands, so that does happen from time to time. But anyway, our streak from last time, where we That was a lot of rewards for getting our opponent to scoop on turn 0. Um, but yeah, I guess we're reprising our last week's event where, you know, opponent looked at our card sleeves and said, I can't beat that, and just scooped. I think we have our card sleeve set for this deck, right? Yeah, we've got the Kaya sleeves. Alright, well, we got our first land. 5 more to go. This is the second to last of the events they're doing in the Planecation series. I don't actually know what the last one is. I believe it might be... Let's see, we've already done Singleton, so maybe the last one's Pauper. That's usually in those... I don't think we've done a Pauper one yet for this series, and usually those are in these rotations. Alright, this is not fantastic, but we do get a couple of draws, because, you know, we're on the draw here, so we have a few turns to find some more stuff to go with this, but we do have a lot of cards we can play really early. Like, if they go turn 1 Llanowar Elves, we got an answer for that. If they go turn 1 Tap Land, we can put an aggressive threat on the table. Opponent goes to 6. Keeps the 6 after a short time. Looks like we're going to get our Llanowar Elf, so that's nice. Ooh, maybe they'll play another Llanowar Elf and we can Mask of Immolation it. Oh, opponent gives us the hello preemptively. Usually we get the first one in. Growth Chamber Guardian. Well, we can't kill that with what we got, so we're probably just going to have to let that stick around. I'm going to Greed. Opponent almost definitely has removal. But the upside... well, if we play this, they're probably going to remove it. If we play this, they're probably going to remove it. If we play this, it doesn't do anything for a while. Yep. Ooh, that was actually really cool, because that effectively adapted their Growth Chamber Guardian, so they get the find a card off of it. Okay, so we could play out Chandra here, but she doesn't really do much, so I think we're just going to play Knight, play Mask of Immolation, say go. And that Damary's Ambush was really good for them. Because the upside of us fogging removal for 1 turn is just that we get to go to town on them with the Priest of Forgotten Gods, Chandra Acolyte of Flame combo. And the downside is, you know, one of our creatures that was going to die just dies anyways. Ooh, opponent misses land number 3. Okay, this is actually pretty good for us, because we can go land. I'm not going to get cute and try to get them to adapt this guy, because they don't even have the land to do it. So I could hold up the shock, go to next turn, hope that they spend all their mana adapting, shock and response, they don't get anything out of it, we effectively waste their entire turn. But I think that just, you know, they would need to hit the land, they would have to spend the mana to do exactly that, and then we would not be getting in for all this extra damage here. So I think this was the right play. And next turn, if they play another thing we want to shock, we can actually play Chandra, downtick, shock it, and swing in for 3 damage. Oh, they may elect to hold back here. Ooh. Thunder Lieutenant's very nice here because we have a hard time dealing with it on a 1-for-1 basis. Alright. So I don't like the shock plan now because we can't shock anything down. So instead, we will go... if we play Chandra, we can't activate Knight of the Ebon Legion. So I think we're going to hold off on Chandra for a turn, and we'll spend our mana to play Footlight Fiend and pump Knight. Oops, we don't want to attack with this guy. Opponent lets it in. Next. You'll play Footlight Fiend. And notably, Footlight Fiend actually represents a good amount of damage on them because we can sack this elemental, deal a damage, equip a Footlight Fiend, sack Footlight Fiend, deal a damage off of the Mask ability and the Footlight Fiend trigger. So it's actually 3 damage that just goes over the top of them. They're a long ways off of activating Thornwood Elemental's buff ability, so don't have to worry about that right now. Okay, so they're playing out a Llanowar Elf. This does not look super good for them. If they attack here, we can just kill the Llanowar Elf with our Footlight Fiend. which that'll take them off of a blocker. Yeah, this is really good. So we'll say pass. We'll put you in front of you. Block. Pass. Take the 2. Kill their Llanowar Elves. They have no blockers now unless they have another one in hand. Alright, I think we pretty much got him here. Land would have been great, so we could play Chandra and also Pump Knight, but as it is, they're not threatening us here, so I think we go in with everything. They can hit us back for 5 if this goes wrong. And there we go. Got it. I think it's actually very unusual that they didn't ban Llanowar Elf, since it's probably, like, it's been a premier card of Standard since Dominaria, when it came out. But, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where it's not a card that really defines any one deck. It just makes green decks way better. So it's not like, you know, you ban, you know, light up the stage. It's like, all right, we want red deck wins to not be a big thing here. They banned Nisso Shakes the World, so that's like, you know, your mid-rangey value ramp decks. Whereas Llanowar Elf is just, you know, that's just green decks. So I think they probably just didn't want to ban green. So this is a mountain. This is a Janavan mountain from Mirage. I actually went back and looked this up, and one, I mean, let's just appreciate how nice this art is. This is a fantastic looking mountain, and also really nice that it looks a lot like it's kind of a throwback to the Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revised Basic Island art, which is also really cool, or at least 2 of the 3 of those arts. So, but on top of that, I looked this up, and this might actually be the first piece of art that Janavan ever did for Magic the Gathering, because Mirage was his first set. So this is a piece of, and he's, you know, still very active in doing Magic art, and it all looks fantastic. Of course, like, you know, he did Lotus Field, things like that. So yeah, just a nice, cool piece of Magic history right there by one of our favorite artists. All right, so we got Swamp Mountain. Next up is Forest. I really like these basic art reward plans that are going on right now. It's just really, like, it's a really great cosmetic to put as a reward for these, because it's one of those things that, you know, if you're not playing during the weekend or something like that, you don't have to feel terrible that you missed it because it's a cosmetic reward, or if, you know, you pick up the game a month from now for the first time. But also they're just really cool things to have in your collection, so it kind of, you know, it feels like it's a good all-around choice for a reward there. I'm super not in love with this hand, but we do have 2 removal spells, and this is a great combo right there. Okay, I'm going to play this mountain first so that if necessary we can shock without shocking ourselves. Opponent's game plan is looking very much like our game plan right now. I'm going to play this tapped, because the only upside to shocking it in is the potential that they play something with 3 toughness here. Okay, they're on Grixis. Alright. Well, I'm expecting to get counterspelled here. So let's play out the Mayhem Devil. Now that they have that drawn Catacomb there. I mean, I'm sure that whatever we do is going to get... We're against Grixis, they've played nothing by turn 3. Yeah, whatever we do is going to get taken out. So I'd rather play out... Okay, well, that's going to be hard to deal with. Let's discard a shock. Yeah, if we had 5... If we were 1 turn ahead, we could actually shock minus Chandra shock again. So we might actually get rid of the Lightning Strike, because it'll be easier for us. It'll be easier on our mana to do that. Okay, well, they're tapped out right now, so let's go... Pay 2... Oh, actually, that was probably wrong. Because we would rather... Well, maybe... Yeah, that was actually wrong of us. We should have played Priest of Forgotten Gods first, but I think whatever we do is getting killed. So I might as well play out as much of my mana as I can right now. We will plus Chandra to keep her out of Nicol Bolas range. And then hopefully... I don't know what the hopefully is here. I don't really know what our outs are to... We do nothing, we do nothing, we do nothing. They remove our threat and play Nicol Bolas. It's going to be... Because we... yeah, we don't have... I don't think we have Bedevil main deck here. Our removal tops out at Lightning Strike. Okay, and there's Legion's End for our threat. The only thing that Grixis lost out of this, if I remember correctly, is the... So we actually kind of have a way in here. Is the Thought Erasure. I don't think plussing really matters here. Because if they can kill her at 2, they can kill her at 1, and I don't see minusing for a shock being very relevant here. So we're just going to play the Hail Mary that they have no way of dealing with either of these 2 cards, and if they can, we're probably out of this game entirely. So yeah, Grixis has only lost Thought Erasure, and it's one of the best 1-for-1. It's probably the best, I would say. Yep, that's going to deal with our stuff. I mean, we can kill the Bolas. Yeah, because they minus, so that they take our combo offline. We have Dreadhorde Butcher to kill their Bolas, so we have... Oh, it's if we would have top decked to Chandra, they would have been in great shape. But no such luck. Alright, and... If they're going to kill someone, I guess I'll do it this way. Possibly should have gone both at Bolas, but if they have a shock for either one of our guys, we're just dead. We have nothing on board, and they have Grixis quality 1-for-1 and going. Oh, okay. Let's try this. Make them sack their guy. Deal them 4 damage. Draw a Fanatical Firebrand, which is not what we wanted to... Oops, resolve that. Not what we wanted to draw, but... I mean, it's another creature, so that's halfway to our next Priest of Forgotten Gods activation. And it's 1 damage. Bunk. Legion's End for the Priest of Forgotten Gods. Sarkhan the Masterless. I don't think I've ever seen that in Grixis before, but it sure is going to make our lives suck. Alright, let's just hit him for 1 and scoop it up. Boink. I think that's how that usually goes. Notice we did have a really, really slow start there, because our only early spells were Burn, which does virtually nothing against Grixis. And then their Nicol Bolas 3-for-1-ness, of course, with the we discard, we shock them just to be able to get anything through ever. Oh man. If either one of these came into play untapped, I would really like this. This deck does not mulligan very well in my experience, though, so I think our best out, rather than try to get something better, is to just hope that we get a come into play tapped land, come into play untapped land, or something else we can do on... well, that's neither of those things. On turn 2 here. So, as it is right now, we're probably way too slow. Ooh, Tomebound Lich, one of my favorite cards ever! So yeah, if we were able to get our Priest of Forgotten Gods down here, and this is all they had, we would just be able to absolutely smash them with the... so bad. Of course, the odds that Grixis has no spot, or that Blue-Black has no spot removal are virtually 0. By the time they've gone through this many cards. They discard Agent of Treachery. We're going to give them the loot here. Hopefully we'll get an untapped land, be able to play Chandra, and not get removal cast on us. They get rid of a Massacre Girl. Boy, what are they holding? Because Massacre Girl is really good against these decks. I mean, I guess maybe they think that our curve starts at 2? Okay, then there's a Reanimate Agent of Treachery. We are super dead. Super dead. Missing on lands, on the draw. Turn 4, Agent of Treachery reanimated. And yeah, we had no plays on 1 or 2. I mean, we could have hoped to like top deck a Lightning Strike to get their 2/3 that just stole our stuff off the board, but I don't think that was the I don't think that was something we wanted to play towards. I'll just get into the next game. Keep on drifting here. Apologize. I'm gonna try to get that more centered on me. Let us know again how lighting, camera, sound levels, all that looks and/or sounds. Still, you know, getting the hang of everything and all that. So, all right, we'll play this. We'll just play out a Firebrand. Getting for 2. Opponent leading on island makes me think we're probably safe to play out. This is going to be a Spectral Sailor or an Opt. Oh no. But I assume, yeah, basic island into basic island, we're probably good. Don't have to worry about getting board wiped. At least not for quite a while if they're on other colors too. Merfolk Trickster. That's actually really good for them, because they can turn this guy's ability off, and then block this one. Yeah, so we actually shouldn't have gotten with Fanatical Firebrand. That would have been the Psychic play. Because now they can just kill Knight of the Ebon Legion. We can't Fanatical Firebrand to also kill their Merfolk Trickster. What we can do, though, is we will just grow this guy instead of playing Mayhem Devil. It might be better to play Mayhem Devil, but next turn we don't really care much about activating Chandra anyways. We can just play the Devil, and this lets us make our Knight of the Ebon Legion a 2/3 right now, which means that Merfolk Trickster is pretty weak against it. Okay, so they are actually on the Flash deck here. I think we're actually going to play Mayhem Devil first. This deck does play Essence Scatter a lot of the time. Okay, that's pretty good for us. So we will go... Do we just want to sacrifice the Firebrand right now and kill their Trickster and get in for 2? I think the answer is no, because this deck plays a lot of 1/1s. So I think we're just going to go in here. If they flash in another thing to try to kill it, we can blow them out by going... sack Fanatical Firebrand, Mayhem Devil deals an extra damage. I can put that in tapped. End the turn. If they go Brineborn Cutthroat here, that's really a weak play for them. Oh, Unsummon's a pretty good play, though. I feel like Unsummon's probably one of the worst cards in this deck, but it is, in large part, a tempo deck. So when you can get... when you can force your opponent to, you know, fall behind on tempo like that, that's always pretty good. All right, so we can play this out first. I like attacking with Mayhem Devil, because between that and Firebrand, we can trade with anything they play, and then if they do play something out, we can play a Chandra. Oh, I actually should not have played that land, because we have a Chandra in hand, but if they do tap out, we're going to want to play her. If they don't tap out, we're going to want to play these 2 cards. So it all depends on what our opponent does. Okay, they got the Ambusher. So here, I assume that their Ambusher takes 3. And then we'll just... we're actually going to do this. We're going to sack Firebrand. Have it deal the damage here. Submit 1. Have this deal the damage here. Play Mask of Immolation. Kill their Trickster. Play Knight of the Ebon Legion. Now here I'm not holding up for... oh, and then equip Knight of the Ebon Legion. So here I'm not holding up for saving the Mask of Immolation to maybe kill a Brineborn Cutthroat, because at this point they'll be able to pump it up past the 1 damage we can deal anyways, almost definitely. They would have to misplay pretty badly not to have that happen. Alright. So I'm just going to play this land out. I'm going to see what they do. We play the land because we have double pump now. So do we want to play around another unsummon, or do you want to play around... I think the odds that they can unsummon us are much greater than the odds that they can blow out Chandra with a counterspell. So we're just going to activate. If they have the unsummon, that's great for them. They'll probably have the game. There's no reason not to activate again because we can't do anything else with this mana. So if they've got it, they've got it. And they don't got it. So we have them on a short clock here. But they do have lots of great threats that they can flash in. Okay, so we blanked the value of their Frilled Mystic. That's pretty good for us. So yeah, playing out the Chandra there would have blown us out pretty bad. Because we would not have been able to attack past their guy. Ooh, this is quite nice. This gives us a lot of lines depending on what they do here. And then, you know, our Chandra would have gotten countered. So if they do counter this, then we can probably resolve a Chandra. If they don't counter this, we can equip it with this, sack it to get our knight in, or we can attack with both of these. I think the line is just to attack with both, because if they block here, we kill them unless they have unsummon, and they would have had to just top deck unsummon now, or I guess they could, you know, flash in another blocker, which is also fine. But I think that playing around their counter magic is probably good here, because we haven't seen any negates, and the deck does run 4 of them. So there's a good chance they have at least one in their hand. Now, if they flash in something to block Knight of the Ebon Legion, and then block Dreadhorde with Frilled Mystic, we still kill the Mystic because of the 1 damage that we get through with Dreadhorde Butcher's on death ability. Okay, so they're blocking this really smart. Note if we had 1 more mana, we could have put this here. Probably wouldn't have been relevant, but is definitely worth noting. So we have them at 3. Oh, they're going to start making wolves now, so that's really good for them. And then we can sacrifice Knight of the Ebon Legion to take them to 2. No blocks, because we have none. Alright, it's just giving me prompts to sacrifice this guy, which I don't think is the play. Alright, well I think we run out the Chandra, see what happens. Because yeah, I don't want to attack into this, because I really want to try to get this Chandra out, because they're going to make a chump blocker every turn. So Knight of the Ebon Legion no longer gets us there. So I imagine this gets countered. Yep, Frilled Mystic. Although that might mean they don't have negate, because this is not lethal. So that last land, or that last card in hand might just be a land or something. Which, if it is, and they don't get another Frilled Mystic or Essence Scatter here, we can probably stabilize with Bantu, because they'll have to put 2 creatures in front of Bantu to block it. And then Knight of the Ebon Legion, so would be able to pump itself on our attack. They're playing around removal here if they don't go in with everything. Oh, they could just have an unsummon. And you'll see how that unsummon is working out for them, because now they're getting card or board advantage off of the Nightpack Ambusher, and taking off that couple of damage from bouncing a Knight of the Ebon Legion. Resetting its counters, taking off that 1 attack is really powerful for them. So they're definitely playing this well. I think I would have gone in with the Ambusher and left one of these guys back, because we can't kill their Nightpack Ambusher unless we have like a flash threat. I mean, if we can kill the Ambusher, ooh, hey, does this? No, it doesn't kill them. Whereas now, if I want to like double spell and get rid of their blocker, I can just kill the Ambusher. Whereas otherwise, I'd have to be killing their wolf. So we will play. I mean, we're gonna die in a turn or 2 here if we don't stabilize. So we're just gonna play Bantu, see if they have the Essence Scatter. If they do, they've got it. Seems like they're probably reading the card text. They do not. So this is going to refill our hand. I think I'm going to blow up just 2 lands. Well, I guess 3 is fine because we have a 3-drop in our hand, so... so sometimes you get a little greedy on the land destroy or the land sack, and then get screwed because you want to double spell and don't have enough lands to. So maybe we'll actually leave it at... Well, no, I like drawing up to just take them off of being able to counter everything that we do from now on. Okay, so there we go. And we get a land, and we get Dreadhorde Butcher or Priest of Forgotten Gods. Put into thinking. I think it's Butcher. Because if we get a land next turn, Butcher chumping, dealing 1 to them. We play... Oh yeah, actually that's just lethal next turn if we don't die or get unsummoned. Okay, so they're going to Merfolk Trickster, tap Bantu, so he might just be dead. No attacks. End turn. So you're getting for one of yours like 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's 15 damage. So we have to, yeah, we have to block both. So that's really good for them because we don't quite have what we need to. Oh wait, but then we have a Bantu which has Menace, so they'll need more blockers back. Okay, I guess it's all right. So notably, I'm fine with throwing away Dreadhorde Butcher here. That deals 1 damage to them. Then next turn, we can play Priest of Forgotten God, or play Mayhem Devil, sacrifice Knight of the Ebon Legion, and that should deal 2 to them. Unless, of course, they have like an unsummon or something, and then we're in really bad shape. Oh, or, well, they're more likely to be able to counter this than to counter this, because there's usually more negates than essence scatters. So, I'll cross my fingers, I'll run this out, hope they're sandbagging a land. It resolves. I think that means that they're dead. Oh, we got there. Boy, that was... Usually this deck does not win those long, grindy games. And opponent had some really nice plays there, like flashing in that Merfolk Trickster to make sure they could kill one of our Knight of the Ebon Legion. But there's win number 3. We're halfway there. Oh, and there's that nice Shaun of Honor that I was just talking about in the background. We go first. We have nothing on 2, but this is a really nice opening hand, so I'm going to keep it. And we've got Knight of the Ebon Legion. And you'll see where even the Knight of the Ebon Legion has virtually no synergy with this deck, it's still doing a lot of work in it. I think it's pretty safe to say that we would not have won that previous game if we'd had like a Fanatical Firebrand in its place or something, because we wouldn't have been able to get in for those big attacks before their board had stabilized. Granted, we could have done 1 extra damage with it at the end of the game when we were on... Oh, Jund Dinos, okay. When we were on... This is bad for us. I think we just have to do this. When they were on 3, so, you know, we would have done 1 extra damage with our... with that sacrifice with the mask, but we wouldn't have had them that low in the first place if that would have been anything other than that of the Ebon Legion. Yep. So Jund Dinos is probably one of the top 3 decks right now. Scapeshift, Vampires, and what we're looking at right now. And it got no pieces removed from it with the standard Shakeup. So this is another one that's a really, really good another really good bet for this format because you can just take the deck. It's already, and actually, I would say it's probably, yeah, we're just dead. People are saying, and I agree with this, that it's the best tier one, or it's the best best of one deck in the format, and probably by a pretty good margin. So having it completely intact means that you can probably just curb stomp repeatedly like that against, um, you know, be pretty favorable in the matches like this one where they also didn't lose anything, and then versus decks that are powered down, and you know, a lot of the things that they're losing are answers like Thought Erasure, Teferi, that stuff. That's just a pretty favorable position to be in. I don't love the Bantu in the opening hand. That's pretty weak. But Priest of Forgotten Gods is always great. I don't like mulliganing a hand because they might have removal for one of the pieces in it. Well, this is bad. Because our only interaction is pray that Priest of Forgotten Realms survives, and or ping someone for one with Mask of Immolation. So if they have a Shock, or a... I mean, Shock would be really good for them because they can get rid of this Footlight Fiend. Yep, there we go. Which, even though Footlight Fiend only has 1 power, it could trade with Gitu Lava Runner had they attacked with it first, because we'd deal the 1 damage after. Okay. So all of these plays are very bad. They have 4 cards in hand. They can definitely kill this. This doesn't do anything. I think I'd rather play the thing that they will kill and spend resources on than the thing that's just going to sit here and not do anything until they play a Vyashino Pyromancer and then still not do very much. Oh, it is an Electro... Oh, right, because they have to... I'm not blocking that. And they knew I'm not going to block that, so they could attack freely there. So yeah, I guess they have to replace a lot of... Oh, and they can just do that now. Well, that's not the worst thing. So yeah, obviously you'd have to replace some of your cards with other things, so electrostatic field makes a lot of sense here. And of course some red deck wins decks play field, and like some play gutter snipe. We could fog 2 damage here. But I think I would rather keep this around because it does kill Vyashino Pyromancer after blocking a card. We can't take them off of Spectacle anyways here. We don't have any shock. If we had a shock in our graveyard, this guy would be dead and we could Chandra and shock again. As it is, I think we put her out because she's not really going to do anything, but she could very easily take a lot of damage for us. And playing Big Chandra does very little here because... oh, no attacks. Because all we can do is play her, and then exile the top card of our library, can't cast any spells, can't play any land because we already hit a land for turn. We should have played this swamp there, actually. That was a misplay on our part to play the mountain. Okay, so I think here we... it looks like they're not going after our Chandra, so we're just gonna... Although, actually, I think we do want to keep running her up in case we do, because we're not going to be able to pressure... We're going to be able to deal 1 damage if we make the elementals. What I think we're going to do is plus Chandra, because if we do get a removal spell, we want her to have as much loyalty as possible. We'll play Bantu. We're going to get rid of this Mask of Immolation, and I think just 1 land, that gets us 3 chances to hit a land to play Chandra next turn if we want to do that. But we also want to keep extra lands out because Chandra's going to let us hopefully flash some things back. I do like keeping this around just because we might need the blocker. Basically, we're gaining 2 life by not sacrificing it, and that's probably relevant here. So now they can attack with 3. We block 1. We kill that guy. Hopefully they don't have, like, Lava Coil in hand or Fight with Fire. Nope, just a land. Boy, we really need a spell that kills a thing. I guess Priest of Forgotten Realms is a spell that kills a thing at this point. Alright, so we'll just plus the Chandra. And then we'll do this. And we'll do this. And we'll do this. And we will cross our fingers. Notably, when it is time to attack, Bantu can get around their electrostatic field unless they have a second blocker back for it. Alright, so there's 2 damage to the face. So we go to 5. If they attack here, we block one with Bantu, we block the second with Firebrand, kill it to kill their Pyromancer. But as they did not, we can use Priest of Forgotten Realms to sacrifice. We need to... Okay, let's try to find something here off of Big Chandra. Dreadhorde Butcher is really good for us, because we can actually play it, and then we can hold it back and trade with some things. So we'll do this. I might actually want to sacrifice that rather than sacrificing Fanatical Firebrand, because Fanatical Firebrand we have more control over when it deals its damage. So I think we'll do this. Activate her right now. Choose you. Submit one. Sack you. And you. Actually, yeah, we're going to do this. We will put these triggers on the stack. This got to deal the damage there. This got to deal the damage to the same one. Actually, I didn't want that to happen yet because I wanted to use this guy to kill... Shoot. That was a mistake on our part. I should have killed the Vyashino Pyromancer while that ability was on the stack because I wasn't holding priority. So that kind of messed us up there. Should have been able to get one of these 2 guys off the board as well. We can't actually deal any damage with this unless they decide to chump block. So I'm just going to plus again. We're going to hit some removal spells at some point here, especially with this Chandra online, the Neotax, who, incidentally, we are now buffing her loyalty with Acolyte of Flame. So they are, okay, they scoop it up. They are actually pretty close to killing us because a Lightning Strike deals 3 plus electrostatic field deals 1 more, so then they're just like a Fanatical Firebrand away. But Ashiok, that's fine. Plains. Alright, 2 to go. So we got Island and then the Janavan Unglued Island. Wonder if at some point they'll start, speaking of the unglued, unhinged, or sorry, that's the unhinged, not unglued. But speaking of those cards, I wonder if at some point they'll do alternate tokens, like the ones that came in unglued, which was, I think, the first time they printed tokens, but I could be wrong about that. Because it used to be that you used, like, quarters and pennies, or you drew on a piece of paper, or something like that, back in my day, when Old Fogey was in the Standard, which it never was, because it was a unset card, but, Alright, they may not really have any creatures, because they played Dismal Backwater, and we don't have any engine to go along with Priest of Forgotten Gods, so I'm just going to play the Dreadhorde Butcher, grow it, and hope that that starts doing some stuff for us. Alright, they go another tapped land. I think I'm actually going to be inefficient with my mana and play another Dreadhorde Butcher here, because if we get everyone in, that will grow Knight of the Ebon Legion, while also growing both Dreadhorde Butchers, obviously. That'll put us in a really good spot to be aggressive. If they board wipe us, we are just dealing 5 more damage to their face. And actually, they can't kill this Dreadhorde Butcher with any 3-mana board wipe, as far as I know. So, I think that's pretty good there. Solve for falls for opponent. So we can actually 10 them this turn if they don't interact with our board, which, I mean, what are the odds? Okay, well, they cannot interact with the board by scooping. And like I was saying in our previous video when we played a lot of this deck, this is one of those decks where, as Jeff Hoagland says, I think this is a great insight on his part, that it feels a lot worse. This deck feels a lot worse to play than it actually is, because when you win, it's often those crushing victories like that, where you play like 45 seconds of magic, and then your opponent scoops or gets completely run over. And then the losses are the ones where the game goes on for 15 minutes, and you just draw like Fanatical Firebrand, and they disfigure it, and then they play Enter the God Eternals and Command the Dreadhorde, and your entire life just feels miserable. Alright, so as good as Knight of the Ebon Legion is, it's not really very good on turn 1 compared to Fanatical Firebrand. Because this is going to get us in for the 1 damage. Knight of the Ebon Legion can't be pumped or grown next turn. And if they remove our 1-drop, we want them to kill this instead. Okay, so here we're going to... So there's a good chance there's a board wipe in our future. But we actually have Experimental Frenzy. So I'm okay with extending into this a little bit, just pressuring them as much as possible. And then hopefully if they board wipe, they are at a low enough life total where... Oh, it's a hero deck, interesting. Where we can just, you know, put the pressure on with Experimental Frenzy and grind out the game that way. Alright, so here... They probably don't have board wipes because they're playing hero. And this is Jeskai, so this is probably like the Flyers deck or the Super Friends deck. Either way, I want this guy off the board. So I think what I'm going to do is sack both Fanatical Firebrands, because this guy's going to wall them anyways. Hero of Precinct 1 is pretty much kill on sight, in my opinion. If you can kill him, even if you're 2-for-1ing yourself, I would say do it. This also lets us get down Dreadhorde Butcher, which, because I don't think they have board wipes, should not be an overextend. It takes us off of pumping that of the Ebon Legion for this turn, but Dreadhorde Butcher is also getting in and growing itself, so... Ooh, that's really good for us. So again, we won't be able to pump Knight of the Ebon Legion this turn, but we can do this, kill their Vindicator. We will actually equip Dreadhorde Butcher with Mask of Immolation in case there is a board wipe. Actually, we should have put that on Knight of the Ebon Legion now that I'm thinking about it, but... Because if this guy dies, it's already getting value. So now it's just strictly right to kill this guy. Whereas otherwise we'd have to think, well, if we kill this one, at least it's dealing us 1 damage. So that was a misplay on my part. Well, they do that anyways. Well, I guess we will sack it. Deal 1. Deal 3. Take them to 8. Drawing Knight of the Ebon Legion is actually really nice here. They could have a shock in hand, which would be super sad times. But I'm not going to play as if they definitely have it, because this is just such a high value play for us. And now we can play a second Knight of the Ebon Legion and they're dead to either one. And we have Experimental Frenzy in hand to grind the game out if we end up going into the long game. They're at 5 now, so that's where... Oh wait. Yeah, this isn't Jeskai, this is Mardu. There is no black in Jeskai. Well, I don't think that's going to do it. I don't think... let's see. So we can just swing in and eat their entire side here, whichever one... Because they have to block both, otherwise they die. Whichever one they block with this guy. So this actually is pretty good for them, because between Judith and Swiftblade Vindicator, they'll be able to kill one of these guys. Oh, they just let that one in? They're just dead then, right? Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample. We pump this guy. They have no mana. And they're dead. Yeah, so opponent could have blocked our second guy with Judith, and then one of our guys dies because one of them gets blocked by the Vindicator, the other one gets blocked by Judith. They both take 2 damage, and then whichever one we decided to pump, they could kill the other one with the death trigger from Judith. There we go. That's our 6 wins. Pretty snappy. Like I said, this game wins or loses pretty fast most of the time. Definitely loses longer than it wins. So now that we've done that, and we've got all of our wins for the week and finished our daily quest and all that great stuff, let's take a look at our next mastery level here. So we've got a pack, and then a pack plus a mythic. We just got our Bada Johnnies earlier today, so that's cool. So let's take a quick look at the Grixis beats here for a second. Oh, actually, before I do that, I'm going to go back, because there are actually some new cards from the last time we played this deck. Last time we played, we did not have Experimental Frenzy or Chandra Fire Artisan, as far as I remember, and we got to see both of them. We didn't actually play the Experimental Frenzy, but we did see how that could have gotten us into that game if we'd gotten board wiped. And I've put these in here because I think I cut 1 Bantu. I tried 3 for a little while. That was too many. And I think I cut a Lightning Strike, or maybe went from 4 to 3 Shocks. But at any rate, a lot of games with this deck. So in the games where you fizzle out because your opponent's still at 20, none of these cards really are going to help you much because your opponent's just going to crush you in that case. But there are a lot of games where, because we have these aggressive threats and things that deal damage when they're killed, and then, like, Chandra's getting in for some haste damage, there are a lot of games where opponent stabilizes at like 5. So it's not the damage where we can kill them by just top decking a burn card or a Dreadhorde Butcher, but it is something where if maybe we can get a couple of extra cards out of one of these two, we can probably end up getting there. Notably, Chandra is easier to kill, but she rolls herself up to 5 immediately, and so if they actually take her out, unless they're using like a Vraska's Contempt or a Bedevil, we are just, they can't kill her with combat damage or with burn, or they'll just die. So both of those, I think, should give us ways of fighting out those games, and we also saw the nice synergy for just 1 turn there, what we saw between Chandra Acolyte of Flame, Chandra Fire Artisan, getting her ticked up faster and just threatening that ult, which, if you ever hit the 7, the game's just over. If you can't kill them with what's in there, you probably, plus the 7 damage, you are probably a lost cause anyway at that point. So, anyway, I just figured I would bring attention to those. I would probably, so I have both of these in here to see which one I like more, and I'm considering these 4 slots between these 2 cards and God Eternal Bantu, just to see what I feel like I want. It might be right if I'm running Experimental Frenzy to cut the Bantu entirely, because having 5 drops with your Experimental Frenzies is a big issue, but I think it's fine for now, and we did see, especially because we just have the 1 Frenzy, and we did see how important Bantu was in the red deck wins game there. I mean, it was an off-meta deck because it was the standard event and everything, but still, we could see that we put her down, she stopped the attacks dead, and then was going to threaten to just run them over in a couple of turns. So, it's still a really important card. I think that you should always consider Bantu for these decks, but not 100% sold that she is always going to be the right inclusion. So anyway, since we last met, we made a couple changes to this deck, notably because we saw so many flyers, and in addition to those flyers, we have some reach creatures like Cavalier of Thorns and everybody's favorite 1-drop Arboreal Grazer, which blanks like everything that we can play for the first 3 turns of this game, while also ramping our opponent. Dropped out the Kite Sail of Freebooters, just found that it wasn't high enough impact in the games where she stuck around and then let us get in for 3 or 4 damage while also taking them off of removal. She was great, but those games are few and far between. So went down on those, went down 1 Lightning Stormkin, because while it's great, it can get in there, it can kill a Planeswalker, it can threaten pretty early, it can eat removal from your bigger threats. There's just too many things that can block it. So I think that, and also it is hard for this mana base, because we already have blue-black on 2, we have black-red on 2, and then we got 4 of those, and then even with just the 3 blue-red, and wanting to hit black on turn 1 for Ebon Legion, then you can't even cast Lightning Storm Kid on turn 2 unless you had exactly a shock land. It's just hard. It makes it a little harder on the mana base, and so I think it's still good. If I were to cut a card out of this deck entirely, it would probably be this one. But also, I like having this really high number of 2-drops so that we can play something turn 2, play something turn 3, and then 2/4, hopefully play 2 cards, 2 nice 2-drops. Instead of going up more threats for the Kitesail freebooters, I put in 2 Duress. And the reason for that is that, one, as I said last time, I think Duress is a really good card. It's not what you want. It's not Thought Erasure. It's not Thought Erasure. So it's not where you want to start for discard if you're in blue-black. But it is pretty good. I have 4 in the 75 and then 2 in the main deck here. And the really big reason for this was that I realized that Chandra is one of my favorite... Chandra Acolyte of Flame is one of my favorite cards in Standard right now. And this deck is absurd with her. Like, we've seen her synergy in the Aristocrats deck, where she gives you sacrifice fodder and triggers off of Mayhem Devil. We've seen her insane synergy with, drawing you tons of extra cards in the Elementals deck. But this one feels like she almost feels more overpowered here than in those matchups, because we're taxing their removal so much and building up a board presence and removing their threats that we can pretty easily stick a Chandra for a couple of turns. And when you activate that -2 twice, that is just absurd value. Like, we almost got that off in the Gulta game last time. Get back the Thought Erasure, get back the Tyrant Scorn, and then those 2 removal spells that we have taken care of 4 threats, while also maybe getting in some chip damage off of Chandra here and there. And that is nuts good. So putting in another card that she can flash back for just 1 on turn 4, or that if we play her on turn 4, we can play her minus Duress immediately, along with having Shock. I just think those are some really powerful lines that this gives us access to. For the extra threats, we ended up going with some Spawn of Mayhem here. I didn't have any, but I forged 2, because as you can see, we have way more mythics than we had. Well, we had 0 rares before, now we have 8 because I opened some packs. But I wanted to try out Spawn of Mayhem partially because it is a 4/4 that can become a 5/5 and then a 6/6. And those numbers are all really relevant when it comes to getting in damage in the air. We can play this for 3, which is awesome because we're often able to get in damage with something. So if we miss our 4th land drop, or we want to double spell on turn 4 or 5, it's really easy to do with Spawn of Mayhem. It puts our opponents on a clock, while also making itself bigger later in the game. And then also just, more evasion. More evasion is really good here. This could be 4 mana Nicol Bolas, but it's not for a couple of reasons. Nicol Bolas the Ravager. One of the biggest ones, honestly, is because that's 4 wild cards that will be rotating pretty soon. And all things considered, I don't even know if I like this more than using Spawn of Mayhem or Rotting Regisar. So, there's that. Also, the making our opponent discard line doesn't feel as relevant here as it does in a more mid-range deck, where where we have this plus, big Nicol Bolas, plus, all these card advantage engines like, Narsets and things like that. So I just think that that's lower impact, and we're never going to get to that 7 mana activation. I mean, we can. We've had games that have gone that long, but those are corner cases, I feel like, with a deck that wants to be higher pressure and more aggressive like this. So for those reasons, we're running Spawn of Mayhem, and as I noted, Rotting Registar is another thing that's definitely in contention here. But we'll play around. We'll see, like, when we draw this, would we rather have had a Bolas? Would we rather have had a Regisar? And we'll just see how it looks. So we're not going to run this in the event, because 1, we can't. We'd have to remove the Thought Erasures and put something else in. And 2, I just want to play it against the standard meta, the arena meta, rather than the warped event meta. They call me Mott. Well, that sucks. Remember last time when I was saying that every one of our opening hands was fantastic? This is where we're paying for it, where we can't play Knight of the Ebon Legion turn 1, and then we have nothing relevant until potentially turn 4. Well, we can't play Knight of the Ebon Legion at all. Yeah. So let's chip that one back. Way better. Way, way better. Oh, boy. So Legion's End is fantastic, but it's not great in some matchups. And also, we have a chance of being able to flash one back with Chandra. So I'm going to put that back. We honestly want both of our lands. If we would have known we had a land on top, we might have bottomed to Steam Vents, but also second Steam Vents lets us cast Chandra, so that's also really good for us. Oh, Well, I was just talking about how I never see Phoenix any longer. Then here we go. I think we played against one last time too, didn't we? I believe that's the case. It would be great if we could hit Phoenixes with Legion's End, but unfortunately they are twice the size, being 4 drops. Although Legion's End is actually pretty good in this matchup because it often plays Goblin Electromancer as an accelerator, and being able to pull that is really good for us. Although if they'd had one, they probably would have played it last turn, so they'd have had to just have just top decked it, because that gives them the potential to cantrip, cantrip, cantrip on turn 3. So opponent is just off of playing, of getting 2 Phoenixes out. Oh, okay. So this is really good for us because that will allow us to hopefully get rid of anything in their hand that would have allowed them to get their Phoenixes back this turn. Oh, it's playing Tomebound Lich. Oh, so this is actually Grixis splashing, probably just for Tomebound. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, so we have no way of dealing with a Crackling Drake, and that thing can kill us really easily. These 2 spells don't represent getting anything back yet, and the Tomebound Lich we'll just have to deal with, I think. I mean, the looting's going to be great for them. We'll get rid of this because there's no targets for it. But we have a lot more ways of killing a Tomebound Lich than we have of killing a Crackling Drake. And the Crackling Drake's going to draw them a card immediately, whereas Tomebound Lich just loots. Ooh, Alright, so I think we're going to go land, duress, get rid of some removal. That keeps our Chandra safe. Alternately, we can play our Dreadhorde Butcher into more removal. So one of these 2 is getting hit here. I think I actually like keeping our Chandra's Loyalty up. And then next turn we can... well, playing her and then casting Duress probably doesn't do much next turn. So I think I'll run this out. If they're playing counter spells, we would have wanted to do this differently. But also next turn, this guy is going to be a lot weaker. Because they'll have Tomebound Lich out probably. Our opponent decides now to do the Lightning Strike. They definitely should have done this first, because we got the 1 point of combat damage in. Which can definitely be relevant. It's not always, but definitely can be. Alright, so they draw. They discard a Drakus. Wait. This is a Reanimator? Is this a Reanimator deck, or is it just a really, really greedy Phoenicles deck? Not what we wanted to see, but, you know... Oh, we have a Thought Erasure in the graveyard. Never mind, this is exactly what we wanted to see. Alright, so we will just hope that she doesn't get countered. We're playing her on Spell Pierce by shocking that in first. And we can go ahead. If they've just got a land in there, that's great for them. Or a shock, because then they just kill our Chandra right here. But if it's anything other than that, we're in pretty good shape. And then we also get the Surveil. Yep, it's a shock. So that's pretty much the best thing they possibly could have had. Oops! Oh man, I tried to emote there. So I'll give them the nice and then give them the oops because I definitely did not want to keep that. I don't think I was even really... I'll have to look at the replay. I don't think I even really had my cursor over the done button there. But yeah, so it looks like this is a Reanimator deck, which would also explain the Tomebound Liches being in there, because Reanimator loves Tomebound Lich. But yeah, with that play, they've really swung this game around, because now we don't have our Chandra. They have Finale of Promise. That is probably... Surprised I didn't go with more Charter Courses there, honestly. Oh, it's only... Right, yeah, it's one of each. Alright, we'll see what we draw here, but I don't think we really have any outs. This is actually pretty cool, because Phoenix does play well in this deck, because it does run a lot of... The Reanimator deck does run... Oh yeah, we knew what we were drawing. Give them the good game. They got us set on board. Because it does run a lot of those cantrips to cycle you through the deck, and then, you know, the looting effects. So just throwing Phoenix in there, it's like, you saw how well it worked. They had 2 in their opening hand. If those had just been, you know, more air, more filter for their deck, maybe they got to their payoff a little bit quicker, but they don't have the guaranteed 6 hasty damage coming our way. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I like that a lot. And then obviously the Shock Chandra top deck Finale of Promise was a clutch play. Finale of Promise is such a cool card. I really like that. We can't play either Mu with this, but Knight of the Ebon Legion is fantastic, and we're drawing an extra card here. So, I say we keep this. We can Shock and Watery Grave turn 1 to give us... Oh, jeez. Well, let's hope they don't have board wipes, because we're going to have 3 Knight of the Ebon Legion on turn 2. Which then gives us something to do with this mana, too, because we can pump one of them, grow all 3. I mean, this is assuming our opponent interacts with our board 0, which in these colors is very unlikely. Oh, it's Jund Dinos again. Okay. Not exactly what we wanted to see, but... I'm going to play this because then if I want to play Mu next turn, we can play both of our knights here and then also have her online. Notably, Knight of the Ebon Legion is one of those cards that gets way better in multiples, because as long as one gets through, it can pump all the other ones if you buff it. So, we could just get, like, Rotting Regisword here, and then we're super sad because we didn't... Okay, well, that Huntmaster is just going to die, so this might be a new player at the Jund Dinos deck. Because that's one of those important pieces of sequencing where you always have to play Otepec first. They could have just top-decked it and then not thought it through, but yeah, it feels pretty bad for them. So we could play Mu here, but I would much rather just swing in with 1 and get all of the damage in. Because I don't think that Mu... Well, If we do Mu, we turn that off, and then we can get a flyer. And a flyer is actually pretty good here. So maybe we do that, and then next turn we pump. But if they play a dinosaur, they'll pump this guy back up. So yeah, I'll just go in. Actually, this was not a good play, was it? Because they'll block 1, we'll have to pump. What if they block 1, we kill it and get in for 2? If they don't block anything, we pump 1 and get in for a bunch and grow everybody. I don't think they can remove... Well, they could have... No, they can't have Assassin's Trophy because they have unclaimed territory. And I don't think that this deck really plays that card anyways, so, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we just saw a Phoenix deck that was actually a Reanimator. Maybe this is a mid-range Jund control deck that actually just happens to have Marauding Raptor and Otepec Huntmaster. I mean, I thought we were playing Izzet a week ago, and it turned out that we were playing against Temur Electro Dominance U for Xaxes off of an Omnath. So maybe my evaluation skills are just garbage. Less is great for them because they draw that card. And yeah, so they did have the Raptor there, so was not great for us, or it was fine that we didn't go in last time. This takes us to 12 off of our, because we've shocked so many times. Kind of the same either way here. We're going to swing with all of them. I don't think they can kill us next turn, because they can't get Otepec Huntmasters in, so that reduces the number of lines they have. Okay, so this deals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Takes them to 5. Okay, so yeah, we'll just do this. They'll draw their card, but we'll kill their guy and not lose ours, and then we'll be able to pump all of our guys still because we got in with 2 2/3s. Boom, boom, boom. So they are really dead on board here. We can also play Dreadhorde Butcher plus Swing next turn and pump, so that's really good for us. They could play like a Regisaur Alpha here. They have more than enough mana because of the cost reducer on Marauding Raptor. Not the Ripjaw Raptor. Yeah, if they'd gotten this Otepec Huntmaster out earlier, we would have been in a huge bind here, because I think they could have run this one out last turn if they'd had both of these guys out and hadn't wasted that turn basically doing nothing. Okay, so they can only pump 1 guy, but pumping 1 guy plus Dreadhorde Butcher takes them to 1. Yeah. So yeah, this puts them on very few outs. They could still do it. If they block the Red Horde Butcher, they're just dead, I think. Yeah. So we get in for 9 that way. And you'll see how much consternation Knight of the Ebon Legion is causing them here, because of its ability to just make combat math a nightmare. Okay, if they declare these blocks, well, I guess they could have. Do they have anything instant speed that can kill us? Nope. Because I'm thinking, they got like Collision Colossus, but that only targets flyers, and they can't, they could buff one of their guys, but that won't stop them from dying to pumping another one. So yeah, as I was saying, Knight of the Ebon Legion, really good. Even, in this deck it synergizes pretty well because it's exactly our game plan. Those cheap, high-powered threats. But even next part doesn't synergize, It gets a lot of work done. We go first. We have a almost great hand. We can't play Knight on 1, but as I mentioned, it's kind of hard to do that anyways with this deck. I think we're going to lead on the Steam Vents because that'll give us all 3 colors next turn. Yeah, and that is one of the unfortunate things about Knight, is that its value decreases in these decks where you have where you're just always wanting to hit your colors and have greedy 2-drops and stuff like that. All right, I think we're going to Legion's End here. This is weak against exactly. Oh, that was fine. That's weak if they have like a Steamkin, but we have Lightning Strike for it, and they'd have a hard time probably getting up to 4 in a timely manner. So here we can either Knight of the Ebon Legion plus have up Lightning Strike if they have. So they're probably going to shock light up the stage. Plus Lightning Strike if they play any cards here. Oh, they. I feel like that was probably their best line. I wonder why they didn't take it. Alright, so if we wait one more turn on Knight, we still have up Lightning Strike, which is very relevant. But then we can also pump in response to a burn spell, and we can't play Mu yet because, as I was just saying, greedy mana, both of our 2 blue cards, only 1 blue in play, even though we opened on Steam Vents. Alright, so now they're going to the shock our face, light up the stage plan. I think they played a land which was not the best plan on their part. Alright, we're going to wait until they attack, and we're just going to remove this. They have no other known creatures in hand. And Mountain there. So, okay, so now we can do this. We can play Knight. Hope that they try to kill our Knight. Can also play Chandra. But she doesn't really do much for us right now. So I'd much rather do this. Hope that they try to kill it. And then pump. They could have double burn spell, but I would gladly trade 3 mana for 2 of their burn spells. Chain Whirler doesn't do it yet. Nope. Well, that does not do exactly what we wanted to do. So I guess we'll put down the Chandra here, because they're not taking the bait. Chandra Shell doesn't do anything, but we do have a relevant target for it to hit. So I think we might actually end up chumping with Knight of the Ebon Legion. Actually, can we just race? No, because if they have shock, then they blow us out really hard. So put in the thinking. I guess we play Chandra. We don't really get anything off of making the elementals, so we'll just do this. We got punished for not playing her last turn, even though I think it might have been an okay play, because we would hopefully be able to, like, have the extra land and then do something relevant when she comes down. So just because we have 2 really good spells in our graveyard. So here they can go Shock Knight of the Ebon Legion. We can't pump in response. They can Chain Whirler, hit her down to 2, and then hopefully she stays around so she can Lightning Strike them. And notably, doing that takes a lot of damage off of our face. Alright, we will chump here because I would rather kill their Chain Whirler and make them deal 3 more damage to Chandra here than keep Knight of the Ebon Legion on board. Oh, okay, they go... Oh, that's really good for them because now... Yeah, so now they can... Ooh, that was a misplay on their part, I think, because now they're giving us priority so that we can -2 her. Notably, I don't want to duress right now. I mean, I would love to duress right now, but if I do, then they just lightning strike in response, and we lose Chandra. We really need to hit that blue for Mu. Having both of her in our hand and then a removal spell that we can't use is just super depressing for us. Especially when we opened with Steam Vents, so any blue land would have done it. Alright, so I think our opponent's noticing their mistake here. Oh yeah, definitely. That was a big punish for them. I mean, they're still fine. Like, we can't cast any of our okay, well, that's an okay one. I mean, it's not the best thing, but I'll take it. She'll deflect some more damage from our face, and hopefully we'll be able to find something relevant. And notice how much work Mu would be doing here. Take you down to a 1-3, go up to 4, either take 4 damage from us and then come down again next turn, or, oh, they got the shock so they can kill Chandra this turn, but again, that's 5 damage not going to us. Okay, get to Lava Runner is really good for them. Well, I guess it's not that great, because if we get a blue source, even if we have to shock it in, we can just Legion and Mu Yanling, so... it's not a... This game has a funny idea of what a source is, as opposed to a spell, I think. So we're going to Legion in that kind of way. Thought Erasure is never going to do anything, so we're just going to use it for the Surveil. There it is, on top when we Surveil. Okay, so we know we got it next turn. Hopefully they just brick here, and we can not be in a terrible spot. I mean, we're in a terrible spot regardless, but hopefully we can start climbing our way back in. But imagine if we'd played this, like, 3-4 turns earlier, and had all that extra health and hadn't had to, or life, and hadn't had to sacrifice our Chandras and all that stuff. So they can Lightning Strike and then attack with Chain Whirler, or they could, like, Chain Whirler Shock attack with Chain Whirler. Those would both be lines there. Ooh, they have light up the stage. That's super good for them. Oh, they have Rekindling Phoenix. I almost never see that in this main deck. But that's one of the best things they could draw, honestly. Yeah, Pyromancer, I assume, is going to go after Mu because they've been really into... Oh, okay, well, they're going to get really punished for leaving Phoenix in their hand there. We will leave the Chandra on top because if we survive, she will let us... Wait, Oh yeah, that was an exiled card. That's the second time I've done that now. Alright, so we will... Plus you... Take you to a 1-3, minorly relevant because this one has first strike. So yeah, that's not being able to interact with that Rekindling the Phoenix because, again, it looked like it was their hand, but it was in exile. And then now they can kill Mu and get us down to 6. We're probably out of this game at this point. If we'd been able to get our 4-4 out there, like the 2 or 3 turns earlier where we were missing blue, we were probably in a pretty alright spot, but as it is, yeah, all we can really do is play this guy out, or this lady out, minus Legion's End, Lava Runner, pay 2, and we'll say good game. They might be on the, I think we exiled, yeah, we had 3 of those guys with Legion's Ends. Might be on the attack with X Creatures plan, or quest, so we will give them some more swings at our face, give them that well-earned victory. So yeah, you can see how the greed of this deck really bit us there. And when you're trying to be aggressive, greed is often worse than when you're trying to play the long game, because if you stumble on those early turns, you're in a really bad spot. And that is one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck. For sure. But it also feels like it's not really right to build our deck around that, like by putting in opt or more filter like that, because one, we have the thought erasures already, and two, we've seen how good our opening hands usually are. It's not to say like, oh, and you shouldn't play around the last 20% or whatever. You definitely should, but I don't think that we would gain more than we would lose by doing that. All right, so we'll lead on the Watery Grave. Enters tapped. Give him the old hello. Notably, if we had led on Steam Vents, we could still have... Actually, probably should have led on Steam Vents, shouldn't we? Yeah, that was a big punish, because I missed that we had a Chandra there. I was thinking be Devil over Chandra, but that was incorrect of me. Alright, we're going to run out the Dreadhorde Butcher here. This guy's never getting in, unless... yeah, this guy's just never getting in this game. So I will gladly take them shocking in a land, taking one, losing their Paradise Druid. That's all fine. We really want to not draw more lands. Teferi is not the worst here. We'll just probably bedevil him because this looks like probably a Bant Ramp Scapeshifty type thing, and he will crush us if he stays around, and our odds of removing him later are much lower than removing him now. Oh wait, they minused. Okay. So that's going to be a punish for them, because we'll just Chandra, get her in under any counter magic, make some elementals, kill Teferi, hit them for one. And I mean, they still drew a card off this, but they were effectively spending 3 mana to draw a card and gain 1 life there. So that was not a great value proposition for them. But again, we've drawn 7 lands and 3 non-land cards, so okay, we're still in this just fine. Ooh, actually, I like Legion's Ending here a lot. I was thinking I would flash back the, or that I would cast the Bedevil, but this is a much better play. So what do we... We don't need to keep any of our colors open here, because we can't cast anything after this. So we will Legion's End Voracious Hydra, maybe get a second one out of their hand, which would be fantastic. Nope. There is a land that looks a lot like a Voracious Hydra, but... so let's see, they swing in. So they play a forest, they play Chandra probably, they swing the forest into Chandra, she has 1. So I'm actually going to plus Chandra. Play Watery Grave tapped. So this, if they go forest, Nissa, swing at Chandra, attack Chandra with the forest, or hopefully they'll actually use the Hallowed Fountain, that would be best, because then they'll have to exile 2 of their cards. No, okay. So they play around that. I mean, they know all those cards, so that's pretty easy play on their part, I think. All right, so let's make sure we have the colors here. We need black, 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 red, whatever. So black, 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 red, whatever. Go minus in Chandra. And you'll see again just how strong Chandra is in this deck. We could have gotten Spawn of Mayhem down and attacked, but I think we just need to... And attack with the Chandra tokens, I mean. But I think we just need to take her off the board because she's going to absolutely wreck us. I mean, Hydroid Crisis and Trostani are also going to wreck us, but, you know, we're going to have to accept some of that. Alright, so we'll play Dreadhorde Butcher out. I imagine they probably don't block here, because Risen Reef is... Oh, they're actually... I was thinking that with the Trostani, that's going to be a 1-4. We're going to have no way to get through there. But as it is, we'll just take the Spectacle. Kill their Risen Reef. I mean, it could be that they just don't have any elementals, so that's not going to do much for them. Anyways, and fogging, you know, getting that guy off the board now is better. But yeah, it feels like with this much ability to wall a 2/2, that may not have been the best line for our opponent. But I guess they didn't actually have the land for Trostani, so that's definitely why. Alright, so we're going to offer the trade here, I think, because they do have Monodorks and things like that in their deck, and also Planeswalkers, so this way we take them... They're still at 13, but they lose a guy, and we're hitting them for 1 every turn. Yeah, I think that we want to keep this shock rather than use it to effectively give us an extra 2 damage over... Plus, if we need to kill something big... oh yeah, we got Trample on this guy. I almost always forget about that. Yeah, because I mean, it doesn't get chumped very often, so yeah, it feels really weird to see that. All right, so I imagine that they go Trostani. This is going to give them lifelinker, so here's another good argument for keeping our shock. We'll just run it out right now, because we really don't want them getting that lifelink, and I don't think we're going to have many more good targets for that. Everyone regains control of everything that they own. Ooh, Thought Erasure is almost always the best card you could possibly hope for. We probably need to kill the Voracious Hydra here, because that's just going to fight our guy. We have ways of... I mean, I think we need to keep Spine of Mayhem around if we can, but we have 1, 2... Well, actually, yeah. Every one of these cards is going to wreck us in a different way, or any combination of 2 of them, basically. So... because this is going to make these guys huge, and both of these guys will be really good against our 1 card that we have in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think we're taking the Hydra and just hoping that we find a way of dealing with the Krasis. I'm pretty sure it's right to sandbag a land here. They're effectively hitting them for 3 each turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they... actually, they run out the Krasis first, because they can make that a 5-5. Or 6-6 because of Trostani. Okay, that's really good for them. That's really good for them. Well, I guess we play another Spawn of Mayhem. Which we can Spectacle out, because Spawn of Mayhem just gave us Spectacle. So we'll hold back. They'll probably fight one of our Spawns of Mayhem, or they could just... so I was really expecting a... I take this because that'll grow both of these guys. Hopefully they will play the Nissa and get really greedy. Come on, play the Nissa. Don't see the lethal. Don't see the lethal. Oh, they have another Krasis. Okay, well that's going to do it. That's going to put them right back into this game. Because we have 10 damage here, but they're at 11, and they have a 7/7 blocker. Yep, that'll do it. I mean, we could block both of these guys. We'll make them sweat a little bit, though. Get in for 5. Shock in a land. Give them the good game. And we'll actually just scoop here because they might be sweating bullets. Since we shocked in that land, thinking like what we could interact with and if they're going to die if we catch the right spell. There's nothing in our deck that would get us out of that. Rather fortuitous string of cards that they drew of, you know, Nissa to ramp them, into Hydroid Krasis to draw them cards, into more Hydroid Krasis, into a Hydra that fights our thing and kills it. Although we were pretty close there, we got him to 5. Like this, marginally I wish we had more early pressure, but we have the, you know, we have some draws to find some stuff. We have a shock for this Llanowar Elf. Gonna lead on Steam Vents because we have double red, double blue in our hand. Pay 2 life. Always bolt the bird. I mean, until like turn 4, then you can bolt something else. But that doesn't sound as good. Alright, well, we've drawn doubles of both of our planeswalkers, which feels pretty bad. Opponents on Sultai. Sultai what, though? I'm going to play the Chandra first. They could have removal or counterspells or whatever. But if she survives, she lets us play Spawn of Mayhem next turn for Spectacle, even if we don't draw a land. So that feels like a pretty good line there. And if they remove her, then we have another one. Same with Mu, obviously, but feels like it might be Sultai Dreadhorde or something, given that they haven't played anything. Alright, so we're going to lead with this. It could be on Sultai Flash with Llanowar Elves. Which, I mean, Sultai Flash is definitely a thing, and they're representing, like, you know, the big old wolf dude and Frilled Mystic here, so they could just totally blow us out. But no such luck for them right now. Notably, if they have flyers, Moo can ground them, so Spawn of Mayhem can get in. Okay, so they're just, yeah, looks like they're in a Sultai Elementals deck that just missed for a lot of turns. We know they don't have another, or at least we can pretty much assume they don't have any other, they don't have a Leafkin Druid in hand. But I think that I like... So, whichever one of these we cast, we can cast it again later. So I think I'm going to Legion's End. Because that can't go to face, that gives us a look at their hand. Oh, they're a Reanimator deck that's just bricking on everything, basically. So we want to kill them before they get to 7. Alright, so yep, we will do this. We'll probably just burn their face at the end of their turn. Or we might want to do it now, actually, because there's not going to be anything relevant for us to target this turn. And if there is, I mean, they're at 4. Chandra can rebuy whatever. Yeah, they're just out. To be honest, I'm not sure that our opponent should have kept that hand because they didn't really. I mean, even at that point, they didn't really have any great plays. I don't think they had any ways of getting things into their graveyard for their animators. They didn't really have... I mean, they had one ramp card and then a couple of payoffs. So that seemed like a sketchy keep to me, to keep that 7. But I don't know how to play the Reanimator deck at all, and I'm actually not familiar with the Sultai version. Although, oh yeah, it was a Reanimator because they had the Bond of Revival. I was wondering if maybe it was just a heavy ramp deck and that's how they were getting out Agent of Treachery, but doesn't look like that was the case either. Opponent on the play again. Feels bad, but okay, so we have to think. We probably want a Thought Erasure first. So we're playing for blue-black on turn 2. Hello! Temple of Mystery. Seeing a lot of those around these days. It's like it's a pretty good card that a lot of really good decks run. So we gotta stop. Hate to see that. Alright, so I get blue-black. We're actually going to lead on, because we don't have double black for a while. I think Spawn of Mayhem's the only one. So we're going to go... yeah, let's go Sulphur Falls. Okay, so probably Temur Elementals, with the card that I really don't like in Temur Elementals. Or maybe it's Gate, or Scape Shift or something, because they just went... yeah, I don't know, because they just went Rugged Highland, or maybe it's just a budget concession. Definitely Elementals, look at that. Okay, so Chandra's a long ways off. They're going to play Reef next turn. I think we just take that. Get rid of land. We have 5 already. Living Twister does not have reach, so our Stormkins can go across it. They can eventually discard a land to blow it up, but that'll take a lot of their time. Oh, they can't even play it because they need double red and green, and they don't have those colors right now. So that's really unfortunate for them. I'm just going to leave this Healer of the Glade around because, as you can see, it's not doing a whole lot right now. I mean, it gained them their, what, 3 life, and they gained 1 more off of the Rugged Highlands, but... hopefully we can find another... another Thought Erasure or a Chandra. Well, that's pretty nice, because we can go... There's nothing else that we can really shock in their deck that we can't... Well, actually, no. If they get another... if they get another Risen Reef, we'll want to be able to shock that. So we will just Legions on this guy. It's another Living Twister in their hand, which they still can't play. Get another Stormkin. Now to 18. They're still just on their 3 lands, so another Healer of the Glade. And they're getting a fair amount of life here, so this is doing something for them, and they've gotten in for 3 damage, 4 damage now. Yeah, still not thinking that that's where I want to be with this deck. As you can see, it's not really... It's buying them a little time, but that's really all. And so then now we'll Spawn of Mayhem for Spectacle. And then we'll play a Blood Crypt. We could shock it in to start growing this guy faster, which might actually be right. 6. Well, they're not gonna come attacking at this point because we're just gonna eat whatever they attack with, so I don't think that's the right play. Okay, so now they can cast their Living Twister, but it's still not going to be able to do much because they can't block with it, and it's going to be another turn before they can kill anything. And they'll have to discard land to do it, so that would be taking them off of other cards. Do I want to just shock their face here? I don't think so, because if they get a Risen Reef or something, or if they like -4 Chandra, kill... ooh, that's a nice one. Kill our Spawn of Mayhem, we can just shock her down. Alright, so they are dead on board. I'm guessing they're going to play Omnath here and try to kill a Spawn of Mayhem, and I'm just going to blow them out with a Bedevil on their Living Twister. Actually, I can just shock the Healer of the Glade for the same effect. That seems a lot better. Yep, okay, so there's Omnath, so in response... 1, 2, 3, 4... Yep, we have Lethal on board. So you'll just... Actually, no, we're going to wait. Resolve, this is the correct way of doing it. Wait for them to target, then shock their Healer of the Glade. They deal 3. And you'll see they gained that 3 life off Healer of the Glade, but... Or the 6 total off the 2 of them, but imagine if those are higher impact cards and they could have been using them to pressure us or stabilize. I feel like that would have been better for this. That's why I don't like Healer of the Glade that much. Like, it's another elemental. I've tried a few in the sideboard versus like red deck wins or whatever. I think that can be okay, but yeah, I just feel like it doesn't really advance any of the Teamer Elementals game plan, as far as I'm concerned. Not to say that you're totally wrong if you run it. Like, if you run it, that's cool. If you have good results, that's cool too. That's just why I don't run it, and don't advise people to. Well, this looks sweet. So you'll see, even with our greedy mana base, we managed to put together some great openers here. Opponents going first, but they also mulliganed, so that's cool. So here's a thought experiment. How far would you mulligan down if it meant you could guaranteed be on the play? Like, how OP is that? I think I might actually, because Knight doesn't do a whole lot on 1, I think I'm actually going to duress them. There's a good chance you just go Dreadhorde Butcher into Knight of the Ebon Legion. Okay, this is good. I probably want to take the Cry, because Teferi can bounce a thing, but then we can just kill it with Knight of the Ebon Legion and Cry the Carnarium. We can't get our guys big enough, fast enough to dodge. So that card really coming in handy there. Shock this in. Play Dreadhorde. Go in for 1. We know they have Negate now, so they can negate our Mu Yanling if they don't tap down. Okay, they do not, so instead of playing her, you'll just play Drowned Catacomb next. So I think what we're going to do here is get rid of their negate with Lightning Strike. I assume, because this will be 3 damage, plus it'll pump Knight of the Ebon Legion. Here we go. So now hopefully they will spend this turn playing Teferi, bouncing Dreadhorde Butcher, or actually not... hopefully they bounce Knight of the Ebon Legion, because then we can play Knight and... No, okay. And Mu Yanling. But as it is, this is also fine. So we will go next. I'll attack Tef. That was a good hedge on our opponent's part. And then I'm going to play the Mu, because this will play around board wipes. Submit 0. Put that guy in tapped. Okay, the Chemist's Insight, so they're not fielding anything on the board this turn, so that's really good for us. So we can go Butcher, that leaves up black, so we can play Mountain. You can minus Mu, get that on the board in case they have a removal spell for her. 2 attack, pump Knight, hit him for 5, grow everybody. Oh, I guess these do, not the token. Kaya's Wrath, but we've still got someone on the board. And they're at 10. It might have been righter to plus Moo again, but I think that, I mean, Esper has lots of ways of dealing with Planeswalkers. So I feel like it's probably fine to get out the token, a couple turns later get out another token, hope that we stop drawing lands. Could really use not 7 lands. So see, we'd be able to flick Nicol Bolas next turn if we'd had him in here. That's not irrelevant. They discard another land, so they are also flooded. Of course, they've also drawn 4 extra cards now. Kaya Orzhov Usurper. That is not a main deck card, usually. So they gain some life, they exile some of our cards. Another Legion's End. Well, that's definitely what we want to see, because we've drawn a lot of lands, and then we've drawn 2 completely dead cards. And we'll just put this in tapped. Kaya is going to completely turn off Moo and her -4, or -3. Because every time we -3, they can -1 and exile it. So this card that never gets played is going to wreck us. Oh man, stop drawing lands. I mean, notably, if we can ultimate Moo, like if they don't have a way of removing or pressuring her in the next 2 turns, she will just let us draw like 5 extra cards every turn and we'll probably win. Looks like they got something here. Like they've got to have a Teferi or something, right? Chemist's Insight is probably a Teferi. I mean, big Teferi. Obviously, little Teferi doesn't do anything about Moo.
Be gone.
Search for Azcanta. I mean, they can -4 or -5 Kaya to deal 4 to us, but... okay, well, let's see if they have a thing, if we can pull it out of their hand. Looks like no. Gain 3 life. Well, maybe... I mean, they could just be slow rolling it because they know that we can't activate her until our next turn, and they can just crush our dreams real bad. But I mean, they're digging. I mean, they have 5. Oh, okay, that's gonna... Okay. We're out of this game. They found exactly what they needed with pretty much exactly the mana they needed, and they dug really far to find that, so they were off of it for a long time. So if we had rolled her up initially and then not rolled her down, we'd have been able to do that, but I really don't think that would have been a good play. Just because the odds that they bricked for that many turns on finding removal for... I mean, maybe I'm overestimating the amount of Planeswalker removal there is in Esper, but I mean... they've got Teferi to tuck. They've got... I mean, they can, as a last-ditch effort, they can take her back a turn by... or a turn and a half by Oath of Kaya-ing Moo, or anything like that. So if we would have known it had taken them that long, the right play would have been definitely... or the psychic play would have been to just plus her turn after turn, and then bury them in card advantage with all of those... because we had so many... I think we had 4 islands out there. So we'd be drawing an extra 4 cards a turn for 4 mana. Well, this is an insane start. Second blue would be great so that we could play Moo, but I'm not going to say no to turn 1 Duress, turn 2 Thought Erasure. Ah, well, I guess we're taking their Blood for Bones. So they have land, Stitcher's Supplier, Sephara, Blood for Bones. Let's see what they hit here. They hit Radical Idea. That's really good for them. And another Blood for Bones. So that's actually good for us. I don't think we want to discard here, because they want that Sephara in the graveyard, and they probably don't really have anything else. So we're just going to go... But this does give us... Okay, so the thing is that we have a better chance of playing Moo Yanling next turn if we Thought Erasure. And there... Oops, I meant to hit Pay 2 life. And there is a chance that they'd hit a relevant thing there. Oh, and of course, they can just bin the Sephara with Radical Idea, so we're not going to be able to keep that from going into their bin. Alright, so we do not hit Moo this turn. Don't hit Moo, that's really mean. But, you know, don't hit Moo Yanling mana this turn. So we'll do this. See... Alright. We grab their Bond of Revival. We'll keep that on top, because that lets us play both Moo and Spawn of Mayhem. I don't really like shocking their Citrus Supplier, because I feel like their amount of pressure on us is lower than our amount of pressure on them until they turn the corner and reanimate something, and then at that point I don't think the Citrus Supplier damage is going to matter. Alright, so we will pay the 2. We will get Spawn of Mayhem. Oh, notably, Spawn of Mayhem isn't great against Sephara, but it's better against Sephara when we can keep Sephara on the ground. Do they have a counter? Oh, they're probably thinking about Radical Idea. Okay. Yeah, so if we can keep Sephara grounded, then this guy's a lot better. And if we get a land here, well, blue land, we can Thought Erasure and Mu Yanling, which would be fantastic for us. That's not it, but it is a pretty good card. Oh, and see, now actually, yeah, we should have shocked that guy, because I wasn't thinking about the Dreadhorde Butcher line. So I think the correct play here is probably get as much pressure on as possible. Actually, they have 3 cards we don't know of in hand, so we are just going to do this. Have a look at their thoughts. Tyrant Scorn. Bounce that guy. Scholar of Ages, okay. Do I want a 5th land? Yes, because that'll let us double spell next turn. Alright, so we know we can double spell next turn. Oh, actually, that doesn't let us double spell next turn because we have 3-drop, 3... Well, no, sorry, 4-drop, right. 4-drop, 3-drop, 1-drop. Because we don't have Spectacle right now. But we can trigger Spectacle if we shock and then swing, which seems like the best plan. So let's do that. This will mill them, but we've taken them off of a fair amount of their payoff and their retrieval cards, so I think it's okay to do this and just start getting in for more. I think that's playing to our outs. So we'll do that. Thought Erasure, Citrus Supplier, Massacre Girl, land. Okay, so that's all fine. And we'll go next. Attack. Spectacle. Cast you for Spectacle. Place Team Ben's tapped. Chart a Course. That's very good for them. It lets them refill and put a Drakuseth in the bin. Citrus Supplier. So yeah, we are on a pretty short leash here in terms of beating them. Because it's only a matter of time until they get a thing. So I think Spawn of Mayhem is definitely the play here for this coming turn. Because that represents faster damage than Mu does, and we don't have anything we need to ground right now. I'm actually surprised they decided not to block with Citrus Supplier and just put more stuff in their bin. Alright, so on their own, these two hit them down to 9. Yeah, God, they've gone through so much of their deck. They've gone through 27 cards, and they haven't managed to stick a Reanimate spell. Mostly because I think we've just been able to attack their hand so aggressively here. Plaguecrafter is good, but not great for them. Because we're going to sack Dreadhorde Butcher. Actually, Plaguecrafter just... they're dead. Unless they can get rid of Spawn of Mayhem. Also, these guys will both be 5/5s. Yep. That'll do it. So yeah, again, you can see us doing basically exactly what we wanted to do there. Just discard, discard, discard. Should have shocked their Citrus Supplier. That was my mistake. I didn't think about the Dreadhorde Butcher after playing a creature that stops them from attacking. That was... I mean, when I put it... It sounds, when I say it like that, like I'm trying to make it sound like that's a real corner case, but it's not. That's a very obvious thing that I should have been thinking about. But again, you know, this is a new deck. We haven't really played... okay, we've played Shock and Dreadhorde Butcher before, so I can't give that excuse. But, you know, we are learning the lines of this particular deck. And I will say that the additions we've made have felt really good. The Duresses have felt great. Much better than Freebooter, with the never being able to attack with it. The Bedevils have been great. The going up to 24 lands has felt very good. The thing that feels the clunkiest, I think, is, well, the mana base for one, but then also just how often we want to pump Knight of the Ebon Legion, but how we also, speak of the devil, but how we also want to be casting spells in really fast succession. So that doesn't feel great, but having the option to do either one feels very good. Very, very good. Another Temple of Mystery. Alright, so Thought Erasure feels bad because you won't be able to play it. But we'll be able to play Knight of the Ebon Legion and Shock next turn, so if they put out like a Mana Dork or something, that'll be cool. Doesn't look like it. Okay, now we can Thought Erasure. And that's definitely what I will do. I mean, they could have a Spell Pierce. We don't know what we're looking at. I mean, it's probably the... Oh, okay. It is God Eternal, Ronus, and company. I'm getting rid of the Domri here. That's going to ramp them into the Krasis, and hopefully... Well, what does... Yeah, Domri gives them Ronus on turn 4, and we really, really don't like that. Okay. Chandra's good. Hopefully we can... Next turn we'll be able to Chandra turn after that. We can flashback Thought Erasure and hopefully just kind of take them off their entire game plan. Artistry is actually very good because it's going to keep our Knight of the Ebon Legion from getting in this turn. Oh, we can't Chandra this turn because we didn't... Oh, man, we... Yeah, as I was saying, the colors in this deck are kind of a killer. But that is what we signed up for. We're going to go in with Knight. No blocks. We will pump. Hit him for 4. Take him to 15. This looks like a Teamer big guys deck with just a few budget considerations in their mana base. Let's see. Let's see if they miss it. I don't think they will. Actually, I think the better play is probably to get Chandra. Oh, no, they're just going to kill Chandra. Okay. I will gladly trade there. Should have played the button first, actually, because now I have to shock in to get this, but now we have some time to hopefully... Ronus has Death Touch, of course, so we lost our guy there. Of course, they are going to get the Krasis down here, but we can... If they tap down, they get a 4-4, draw 2, gain 2, and we'll be able to attack as a 4-5, so it doesn't feel great for them. Oh, that put the Ronus back in their hand. Yeah, okay, that's actually really good for them. I wasn't thinking about that. But we can just blow them out. I shouldn't have attacked there, because I can just... What I really want to spend my mana on this turn is Chandra, make sure it leaves blue-black. Minus Chandra, Thought Erasure, their Ronus. Yeah, that's the one we're getting rid of. Legionette is great because it will let us cleanly answer their head. Well, okay. As cleanly as you can answer a card that is a 4-4 flying trample that gained them 2 life and drew them 2 cards, this will let us cleanly answer it. Which is not... Ooh, Bioessence. Okay, that's what it's Bioessence, Hydra, and company is what's going on here. Alright, so we will definitely kill this Krasis. Going with Knight. See if they want to sack it. Wouldn't really be great so that we could pump here and then play another Knight. But as it is, rather do this. I guess I could have Knight and then shocked their Paradise Tree. That might have been better. I should probably read this card. Alright, so we still have 1 turn because we can shock Paradise Druid. And we can shock Llanowar Elves, in fact, so... Actually, we can... No, we don't have enough red to play Dreadhorde Butcher and shock both of them. So... I think we will... shock here. And because they have Thrash Threat in hand, I believe we have to play Knight and then hold 3 mana. So definitely getting outdone in the aggro department here. And this, I mean, BioS Insider has Trample, and if they put down like a Nissa or something, that's just going to be a 10-10 Trample, and we have, like, I mean, I guess we can jump. But, okay, so Thrash Threat is an instant, so... They're going to end up killing both of our guys, no matter what. So I'll put this guy here. Yeah, there's no way that this works out for us. So I'll say block. We'll see if they do this early. They do not. Okay, so they played around it. So yeah, we'll pump. We'll make them spend their Thrash Threat and turn off their... Well, actually, they're just going to get in for 4 here anyways, because they'll trample through now that that of the Ebon Legion's dead. That's a very good line for them. Yep. Oh, they killed that one instead. So even though this guy is, this guy's one smaller, I think that they should have killed the other one, because we'd just be at 2 at that case, because they would trample through all that damage. Alright, so let's take a peek. See what they got. We do have a small window back into this game. Oh, they got 2 lands. Okay, well, that's really good for us. We will put a land away. That's also really good for us. We will Dreadhorde Butcher. Shock. Hit for 2, grow Butcher. Then we have 2, 3, 6 damage on board. 9 if we get another land to double pump Knight of the... Ooh, okay, well that's the best thing they could draw by far. Well, we have a Lightning Strike, so we can kill it at least. No matter where they block. Oh, they didn't block. Do we just kill them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, we take them to... What, 3 if we do that? We can't block that, so obviously we have to sit here. Or we have to send them in and just hope they don't have 1 point of damage to squeeze through, or another Hydroid Crisis to... Oh, there we go. They could have misclicked on the Riot, but that was our only out. Yep, just a little behind the curve there. We had them at 3 and on a stable board, but Crisis after Crisis ends up grinding out that game pretty handily. Well, pretty handily as in, like, they were dead on board, but, you know, 6 feels like a comfortable life total to be at when you're casting life gainers and stuff like that. Probably gonna do 1 or 2 more games here and then call it for the night. But it's been fun so far. Feel like we've learned a fair amount about the deck. Actually, you know, maybe... Oh, it's the surest way to find a match. Click the cancel button. I was thinking I'll probably play a different deck for the last few matches. The last few games. Probably stay in best of 1 because we'll get in a few more that way. Take less time. Ooh, I don't like this. I mean, turn 2 Lightning Strike and turn 3 Chandra is alright. But only against certain lines that our opponent has, so I'm going to throw that back. This is a lot better. At least we get Knight of the Ebon Legion out on turn 1. I mean, it's not a lot better. In the case that our opponent goes, like, turn 2 creature, turn 3 creature, it'd be a lot better to have that first hand. But Oh, I played the wrong land there. That was definitely my B. Alright, so we'll play the Summit here. Pass turn. Should have played out the Blood Crypt first turn so that we could shock or um, shock without shocking ourselves, basically. Alright, pass the turn. Not going to be shocking our opponent today. Let's see. Does any of this give us... Yeah, this one gives us 2 of everything. So pay the 2. Swing in. I'm pretty sure they don't block this, but... Oh, I did have someone miss the Death Touch on Night of the Ebon Legion's pump earlier today when I was just grinding out some quests. So it does happen, at least a non-zero number of times. Ooh, Vraska Golgari Queen. So this is a 4 or more color deck. So at the very least, we can just... Oh, that's even better. Okay, that's a fantastic draw for us. Because we can say, we already hit you for 4, we will shock your Paradise Druid while your shields are down on it, and then we will just kill your Vraska. And, you know, pump our Dreadhorde Butcher. Probably want to play that land, I suppose. Could shock it into bluff shock, but I usually don't do that. Okay, so it looks like we're on a 5-color deck here, probably, just missing white at the moment. Except for not any longer because of Gateway Plaza. Alright, so we'll put down the Stormkin. Try to get in there for 4. Take them to 7, have 3 in hand with 5 power on board. So they are dead on board right now. I'm actually going to put a stop end step. Because I might just want to... Okay, they scoop it up. Because I might just want to cast the Lightning Strike then, so that if we get another burn spell, we can hedge against removal on our Stormkin, letting him survive the turn. So, alright, so let's... what do we want to play here? What do we want to play here? I don't want to go into a deck that we haven't played before. Let's do this as fine. This can go a little long, so it might just be one game. I don't want to do a new deck right now because I like to, you know, talk about the decks a little bit before I play them for the first time. Just talk over lines and things like that because this is largely a learning stream, as you know. Yeah, so maybe next time we'll roll up a new one. I'm mostly completed with the Beating Wings deck, the, you know, Flyers beatdown that I'll keep this. After seeing Hoagland... Oh, that was... Oh, geez. I'm trying to talk and do other things at the same time, and it's not working out very well. Okay, the right land at least. So he was running some inside of a list that had Incubation Incongruity in it to help find more Sepharas and just, you know, get your flyers out faster. And I thought that was pretty cool, actually. I'm going to leave the Druid back here. Oh, there's our one of Mu. Against what we've seen, I think I'm going to keep her on top because this coming turn we can already... Actually, we have so many high-value plays. I'm going to bottom her. We probably just want to find some more like cheap interaction and or lands. Because we know we can cast Nissa this turn. We can cast Cavalier of Gales the next turn, assuming that Nissa and Paradise Druid don't both die. Okay. Rotting Raptor A. That's not exactly what we wanted to see, especially because we can't Omnath it away right now. I think we play the Nissa here. Try to ramp into a nice big old... nice big old Krasis in a turn or two. I'd like to voice a complaint about Nissa while we're here. This is too much stuff that she does on just one ability, basically, plus her passive. Getting the, you know, ramp your mana, untap your mana to ramp you more, make a creature, or make a 3/3 that attacks with Vigilance so it can either defend, or or make more mana, and then also she rolled herself up to 6 as soon as she does it. Like, if she'd have rolled herself up to 4, that still would have been plenty powerful. Even, like, rolling up to 3, I could see, yeah, you want a 5-drop to not die to Lightning Strike, but just, man, come on! That just seems absurd to me. Alright, so we have 1 elemental, Omnath makes 2, which is not the 3 that we need to kill Marauding Raptor. And also I'd like going Cavalier of Gales here, that we don't get the Risen Reef value, and going Risen Reef into Cavalier of Gales is great, but I think that we want to get down, okay, we'll put this one back for now, and probably the Llanowar Elves. I think it's too late for that. I'll go in this order, though, in case we lose an Omnath, because they do run removal sometimes, as we've seen in that deck. Yeah, I mean, look at that, like, eat a Lightning Strike and a Lightning Strike to just take her down to 0 while you've gotten the 3/3 out of it. Like, it couldn't have been 4 starting loyalty instead of 5. It couldn't have been, you know, 3 roll up to 4 immediately. Could have been any of those things. Alright, so at this point we have Omnath does kill Marauding Raptor. I think it's going to be hard for us to kill things other than Marauding Raptor. Okay, that's a 5, so 1, 2, 3... How much money do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which is enough to play Risen Reef, so we can Shockland, Risen Reef, and then Omnath, so we actually can kill that Ripjaw Raptor, because that'll be 1, 2, 3... Oh, no, it's just 4. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, there's, oh yeah, with the Risen Reef. 1, 2... Oh, that's still just 4, yeah. Okay, I'm just going to count one more time to make sure I'm correct about that. Yep, okay. So we will play Stomping Grounds. We might... Actually, we're just going to kill the Raptor. Or the Marauding Raptor, since they are all Raptors. And then I think we will simply buff... Do we buff Cavalier of Gales? And that takes them to 9. Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not going to go in with the guy that'll just get chunk blocked and killed and draw them a card. We have a decently chunky Crisis if we got next turn. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 5, 5, draw 2, gain 2. Although we're more likely just going to cast Risen Reef, see what we draw. You know we're hitting Llanowar Elf next turn, so that doesn't feel great. Unless our opponent kills Cavalier of Gales or Field of Ruins a land, but that doesn't seem like what they want to be doing right now. Alright, so this does not affect the board right now, and they only have 1 land at the moment. Okay, well that was a really good hit off of Domri. Llanowar Elves. I think we just kill them here, don't we? I mean, especially with Omnath. Yeah, so we'll just go... Next. Go in with you. Play Omnath. And I actually want to count here. So this is 1, 2. We have 3 elementals right now. And I'm pretty sure that this should deal 3 damage. And not 4. Okay, yeah. Just making sure that I know how layers work. I forgot to go game him. Shoot. Faster than that deck usually performs. Our opponent stumbled pretty hard there. I feel like getting, you know, like, what was that, turn 5 Ripjaw Raptor into turn 6 or something Domri was not their game plan, since usually you want to be, you know, turn 3, 6, 7, go. Maybe give it haste because I had Otepec Huntmaster out. Or 7, 6, rather. And then, you know, next turn, 12, 12 Hasty Gulta. You're so dead. But it doesn't always work out the way that we draw it up. I like this quite a bit. We don't have Moo Mana, but Paradise Druid actually gives it to us, and we also have turn 3 Omnath off of this, which, I mean, that's not a great value proposition. But, you know, we got our lands. Got Knight of the Ebon Legion staring us in the face. I clicked the right button that time, that's nice. Wonder what our opponent thought about shocking that land in earlier. Like... Like, we clearly had nothing. We clearly had nothing for that. Oh, so now we actually can cast Moo here, which actually feels pretty good. Right? Because we shock in Moo, we make that guy -1, they can buff it to a 2, and then we still have 2 loyalty, so yeah, that seems fine. We could also go for the ye old turn 3 Nissa who shakes the world, but with Swamp coming out there, I feel like the odds that both of our Monodorks survive is pretty low, and then we can't really do anything with Omnath except for chump block Knight of the Ebon Legion once. Alright, so they spend all of their mana to take our Mu Yanling back down to her starting loyalty, and that feels great. Alright, so this turn, I think we're just going to double Monodork and make sure that we can play Nissa next turn, because Omnath isn't going to do a whole lot right now. Well, actually, no. Omnath can fade damage from Knight of the Ebon Legion, because it's going to be a -1/2 again. That'll become a 2... Oh, gets Death Touch. Gets Death Touch. I was just talking about everyone forgets the Death Touch. I was just talking about that. Alright, so we will swing in with Land of War Elves. I almost got by my own pet ability, but we saw it. We saw the line, and now we're more likely to remember it next time. Alright, no blocks. I assume they're going to want to play something here, and they're just... Oh, okay. They're just going to keep taking her loyalty down. This is not a great... Okay, yeah, they scoop it. And you can see, this is not actually a great Mu Yanling deck. She's in there because I needed a card to put in, and I had just made a Mu Yanling for Singleton. But I feel like we've seen her... Actually, let's call it and just look at our deck again one more time before we go. But I feel like we have seen her pull her weight and then some. Also, our client's getting pretty laggy here. Although it's been okay in-game, it's just the deck manager that's doing it. Maybe I have to delete some of my old decks, or the ones that just came with the game and stuff like that. Okay, so what did we see here with the new version of Grixis Beats, which I'm going to come up with a better name for at some point, but I have not yet. Also, I just want to see quick, does this have it? It does. It's a very nice style, but it's rotating, of course. So what did we see? Lightning Stormkin actually performed pretty well there. We ran into a lot fewer flyers. Excuse me. And even when we do have flyers, the fact that it's hasty means that we can often attack around them and often snipe a planeswalker. So Lightning Stormkin, I felt, was pretty good there, and being able to, you know, having the move here to ground something so that it can't be blocked, really solid. We didn't run into any Cavalier of Thorns all day, which amazes me because that card is everywhere. We ran into one or two Temur Elementals decks, and just it never came up. So yeah, the Stormkin seemed good there, although I will reiterate that having blue-red there is such a pain, because it's so much harder to be able to set up for that off of turn 1 than it is either of these that take black, because most of the cards we want to cast on turn 1 have black in their mana cost. So we might want to actually take this down to 2 because of that, but it's felt pretty good, and I don't know, I'd probably put another Spawn of Mayhem over it, which, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, 3 Spawn of Mayhem is a pretty good place to be too. So maybe we do that, cut a Stormkin, add another Spawn, see how that feels. We'll see. And that does put us a little bit more heavily into our primary color and take out a little bit of our, I mean, red's hardly a splash color, but it does cut down our splash a little bit and our second, you know, almost first, but not quite color. Dreadhorde Butcher continued to be amazing. Legion's End continued to be amazing. Lightning Strike continued to be amazing. Thought Erasure, of course, I never say anything else about it. The Duress in there, that felt fantastic to me. We got to see the times when we could flash it back with Chandra for value. We got to see the turn 1 Duresses, which are great. I don't think I want to run more than 2 main deck for now, because in the decks where you want to bring Duress in, like where they have, you know, your control decks and things like that, Esper, Grixis, you're both very likely, you want Duress because there's tons of great targets for it. The information that it gives you is great. And then also, it's very unlikely that you'll ever hit a point in the game where you're both hellbent and you're just drawing the top deck of your, or the top card of your deck every turn, which is when Duress is terrible, of course, along with when they only have creatures, which hardly ever happens. So in those matches, I feel like having the 4 in the 75 is definitely correct, because you will always be able to cast it for value. And sometimes just, you know, being able to draw out, like, you know, you draw out the counter spell or something, then you can stick a Chandra and trigger Spectacle if you're a Spawn of Mayhem and ruin their day. Chandra and Mu both felt great again. Chandra for the flashback, and I didn't really play to this strength here in the previous game with Mu because just of the particular lines we were going for, but her resilience to board wipes is actually quite nice. Or not the last game we played with Mu, but the last one that we played in this deck with Moo, I think. The one where we got board wiped by the Esper deck, and then they just Vraska's her. So in that case, we could see, like, she was one turn from alting, and that would have won us the game almost certainly, because we have the racing potential on them. The only way that they can win is by answering us over and over and over. And if we're drawing that many cards, they can't answer our cards, and we're playing ours for so much less mana than they're playing theirs that we can power them out faster. So that was actually surprisingly relevant. I would never have guessed that we would ever even think about minusing Moo, but it almost happened there. I'll keep that in mind. But, you know, she's resilience to board wipes because you can put her down behind a couple of guys. If they wipe the board, you can get that elemental token. That's awesome. We saw her her +2 be super relevant in multiple games. So I feel like I've been looking for a deck for Moo Yandling, and I think that this might be it. Like, this might be the Moo deck out there. I'm going to go on record saying that right now. And of course, Chandra, can't say enough good things about her. The Duress was a great addition there. Bedevil has felt great. I might actually try to make room for a third in the 75, because again, we've seen lots of games go to the point where we can cast Bedevil plus maybe another card on the same turn, or Bedevil plus Pump Knight. So it's not like the mana cost is overly punishing. So maybe if we decide that I don't want the Legion War Boss or the Thief of Sanity in the sideboard, we cut one of those. These are here still for experimental purposes. Thief of Sanity came out of the main deck because of the fact that it's just not very good in a lot of matchups, because I feel like a lot of the time we want to be pressuring them more than playing the value game, and this is a very value card. It did win us that game where it cast a Dreadhorde, but we can't use that. Like, that's not a representative example, I feel like. But so it's in the sideboard still for now, for those mid-range matchups. Like Esper here, I think would be a really good place to bring it in. But we'll see. Legion War Boss, you know, stick it. It's another guy every turn. If they're answering you 1 for 1, this is a 2 for 1 in your favor, which is great. And it's also a fair amount of pressure if they miss on their removal. I still like keeping the Davriel in there just to, you know, see if it ever does anything. And then, of course, all these extra removal cards are great, and the cute Dreadhorde Invasion, we'll see if that goes anywhere. Although it is, you know, having Spawn of Mayhem in here, taking an extra damage every turn can actually play into our favor, because that starts growing Spawn. So maybe this is better now that we have Spawn of Mayhem in main deck. So anyway, that's our deck. Thank you again for watching. It's always great to have you around. At the Tiger's Den, we're always going to have more content coming out every couple days at least. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications when we put out new stuff. Let us know in the comments what you liked, what you'd like us to work on. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs up if you don't. Let us know what we can do better next time. So yeah, anyway, thank you again for joining us. This has been with the Tiger's Den, and I will see you next time.